And we are live on the United Public Radio Network, UPRN 107.7 FM New Orleans and 105.3 FM on the Gulf Coast. How cool is that? And we are also being live streamed wherever podcasts live, including my YouTube channel. So go there and subscribe. So we're not hard to find. To all those above me that watch over me, to all of you, my fave parapeeps, fellow experiencers, and brothers and sisters in Christ, welcome. This is Father Shawn's Paranormal Ministry. I'm your host, Father Shawn Whittington. I'm an ordained Catholic priest with the United States Old Catholic Church. I'm the abbot for the Old Catholic Benedictines of Immaculate Mary, co-founder of GhostBegone.biz, and yeah, I'm that guy on Eli Roth Presents The Legion of Exorcists, which premiered on Travel Channel and is still currently streaming on HBO Max and all the streaming services. If you haven't checked it out yet, please do, and give me your feedback on that. What else do I want to tell you guys? If there's anything you want to know about my wife and I and our ministry work, go to our website, www.ghost-b-gone.biz. If you go there, there's a lot of cool things to see. Both my books are there. Buy a book. Buy both books. The cool thing about it is you can get it a little less expensive at Amazon, and it also comes in an audio version. Both books do. But if you buy them off the website, they leave my office here. They're author's copies. I autograph them for you, and they arrive to you in a beautiful house blessing kit. And you never know when one of those is going to come in handy. But the awesome thing about that is if you buy them off the website, part of the proceeds of every sale of every copy of my books goes to support St. Jude and the ASPCA. So how cool is that? Get to help some of the neediest children on the planet and the animals too. My online course is there, Introduction to Spiritual Warfare. You can enroll in the course. If you want to talk to me first about the course before making that type of commitment to see if it's right for you, reach out to me. We'll talk about it. But all my students that graduate the course get a stunning diploma, certificate of completion suited for framing, along with some very special blessed items that you can only get from yours truly. And there's a place where you can also make an appointment to speak with me about your spiritual issues. Okay, today's show happens every once in a while when my co-host and I feel like doing it. We call it Open Mic with Father Shawn and Annette. And this is a show for you all of our fans and followers and people that tune in on a regular basis. This is for you guys. If you have access to the live stream and you have access to the chat room, we welcome questions from the chat room on any topic, anything paranormal or anything. No topics off the table. So it doesn't have to just be paranormal, but we will take your questions from the chat room. And I'm going to work the mailbag a little bit today. I know my co-host wants to talk about some haunted objects. That seems to be a hot topic right now. And I happen to have 3 of my very own haunted items here by the desk to do a show and tell, a paranormal show and tell, if you will. And so that will make my co-host very happy. So let's bring her on. I know her, I love her, I respect her. I've known her forever, it feels like. She's a lifelong paranormal experiencer in her own right. She is the owner of Stellium Books. She's my publisher. Please give a big Paranormal Ministry family welcome to my co-host, the one and only Annette Munich.
Hi, Father Shawn. Hi, everybody. I'm really happy to be here. You know, I have to tell you something. If I like coughed or sneezed or said something, people would be able to hear it if I didn't mute my mic. And every week I'm so tempted because you're like, we are live. And I want to go, yes, we are live. And, you know, yes, buy some books, you know, but I don't do it because either you'll think it's funny or I could be fired. And so
Maybe I should bring you out first and then do my my quickie intro, and if you want to do that,
It would,
you're more
it
than
would
welcome.
be funnier if you just hear me in the background going, "Yes, we are live."
How do I do that and not have you on the screen, but we can still hear you?
Well, easy. If you take me off the screen right now,
I don't want to do that.
and then I could make my little, what do they call it back in the day? Comments from the peanut gallery. Remember when people would say no comments from the peanut? I would be classified as the official peanut gallery in the back going, yes, we are live.
I used to. The other saying is, "Oh, a few boos from the balcony or a few boos from the gallery."
Yes.
All righty, listen. We'll get together one of these days. Since I am so non-computer savvy, I don't want to mess something up here and lose you. So maybe you and I will get together sometime when we're not doing a show, and we'll work on some stuff, and maybe we will do that one
Oh,
day. That
no,
sounds
truly, I shouldn't do that. It would only be funny once because you wouldn't be expecting it. And you'd hear me,
it
yes,
would
we are live.
it would be funny.
It would be funny.
Well, this is open mic with Father Sean and Annette. Like I said, some months we don't do it. Some months we surprise all of you. I'll be honest with you why we're doing it today. We had Angela Bolee on here not too long ago. I love her too. She's super cool. But she was going to come originally come live to us from a old historic haunted jail. And I was really paranoid about the Wi-Fi signal and her cell signal and if it was we are going to be able to pull it off. Plus she travels with her own ghost posse and there was a lot of ghosts there. I just thought we were going to have some issues. So I had booked her for this date as a backup date in case that show fell through and we had to reschedule her. I would already have her on the books, which I needed to get her on the books because I haven't told you this. We are booked the rest of this year. I even have a date booked already in January of
What
2026, but
about that date in November?
it 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 got booked. I'm sorry. I know I promised I would hold it for you, and I just the person really wanted to come on, and they couldn't wait till January, and I had no other dates, so I put him in there. I'm sorry. Did you have somebody you wanted to put in there? I know you have a lot of people you've been working on.
Yeah, it's just that, I mean, it's fine. I
And
don't,
you know what? And I still have probably 10 to 15 people on a list that say no, January's too far out, but call me in a couple of months. They want to be booked now, and I just don't have anything. And I don't like to bump anybody. I don't think
right.
anybody's worth being bumped over it. So it's just tough. It's tough because while I'm waiting to hear from you, and I know you're working on people, I've got people, sending me text messages and private messages and calling me and wanting to come on the show. So we only have actually 2 Fridays
Right.
a month
A
that
month.
we book guests because the first
Yes.
Friday is just you and I. It's First Fridays with Father and Sean. Which you know what? I will throw this out there at you right now. You have my permission to book any first Friday because there's no rule that you and I can't bring on a special surprise guest on our first Friday with Father Sean and Annette. So
True.
you have my permission to do that if you
And
get a guest that you want to book on one of those Fridays. And then the last Friday of the month is Happy Medium Monthly. So that's Susan Ahern.
right.
So you have my permission. Excuse
Well,
me.
here's the thing, just because I talk really honestly and just throw it on the table. The only thing that I think about is that stuff is going around and it's current and people are talking about it, interested in it, or I have the opportunity to snag somebody. That doesn't sound much better than you and your feet to the fire thing. I have the ability to approach someone and do a show that I think people will really like
Very
because
cool.
it's timely or someone is, you know, kind of well known, and um, then there's no spots for anything spontaneous.
Absolutely. I agree.
That's the thing.
Absolutely. Well, like I said, you have my permission any first Friday with Father Sean and Annette that you want to pull somebody in, go for it, and just let me know
Okay.
ahead of time, and we'll do what we got to do.
That's nice because then those are like reserved spots and they can come in too and we could still well we always take questions, you know.
And see, already I have it on my calendar that in October, probably like 2, sometimes 3 months ahead of time, I start booking. So for those January dates of 2026, I'll probably start booking those in October. And I just had to really put these people off. Like I said, there's probably 15 people on this list, and I had to actually put them off. And then I do have another list of people that say, I don't like to actually be booked. I'm more of a, in the spur of the moment kind of person. So put me on a list if you have one of people to call last second if you get a cancellation. And I'll tell you, every time I've done that, that person's also not available then. So that gets to be a little frustrating. So I don't call that list anymore. Just between you and me and all the other,
And
you
that's the
know,
way it is
1,000
doing
people that
radio.
are, listening.
That's just standard stuff for doing a radio show. All of that, you know.
Well, listen, what do you want to do first? I have a surprise for you. You
Okay.
wanted to talk about um, haunted
Haunted
objects.
objects.
So I went into my private collection here and I brought along with me up to the desk here 3 personal items. One is a perfect example of a cursed object. One is a perfect example of a object to be used as a portal, and one is an object, a legitimate haunted object. I know a lot of my colleagues don't believe objects can be haunted. I believe absolutely they can have attachments to them, residual energy attachments, sometimes residual, sometimes intelligent, attached to these objects. And I have one of those objects too. But we also, I think, have a couple of questions in the chat room. So I don't know I'll let you decide if you want to do questions. I think we
Well,
have a question.
we have a question from Camilla, and it really is kind of tied in with haunted objects. She said after the Warrens' house has been sold, the new owners are planning to let people stay overnight at their occult museum. That sounds dangerous and unwise. What do you think? And the Warrens, I don't think it is anymore. But originally, their haunted objects included that doll that was the inspiration for the Conjuring movie that was recently in the news with that being taken around the country and the paranormal investigator that was doing that was his name was Daniel. I'll think of it in a minute, but he ended up unfortunately dying. What was the name of that doll again?
Annabelle.
Annabelle, yes. But I think eventually, not eventually, I think originally that started off in the Warrens' house as one of their objects. And then their nephew was John Zaffis, still is, but the Warrens passed away. And then he did that show about the haunted objects on TV. That was very, very interesting. And he was doing The Haunted Collector was the name of that show. And he was, having a little collection in a museum of his own. Um, there's always people that will buy a ticket and want to sleep overnight in some of the just worst places. I don't know. Back in the day, people didn't want anybody to know that things are haunted because they thought it would ruin their business. Now they can build a whole business around it. Would I want to do it? No. Do I think it's unwise? Absolutely. Dan Rivera. Thank you, Camilla. Dan Rivera.
We
And
missed
she
one
said,
question. Infinite
Annabelle is
infinite
still,
joy.
well, wait a minute. This is still Camilla. The Annabelle doll is still part of the collection at the museum. Thank you. Yeah, I know that they moved it. They were very careful. They said prayers. they tried to do it in a very careful and respectful and prayerful way. So you could see that they did that. I saw that on a podcast of them doing that, but it's still they took her on tour. Okay, is that enough about that one? You want to move to the other question?
Um, yeah, I'm going to, as far as Annabelle goes, I'm going to kind of hold off on commenting, me personally, that is, until, I mean, I know some people that knew the gentleman personally that owned that doll. And I'm just kind of waiting to see what the autopsy report is and how his health was,
Well,
and listen to some other people that are really super close to this situation. A lot of them really aren't talking much about it.
right.
People that are close to the situation in real
What I
life aren't
what I
talking.
heard, and I wouldn't want to upset or offend anyone, and condolences and great respect, for the family and their feelings. But what I heard was that when they found him, the lights were flickering on and off, and that he had a crucifix that was in a place on the desk or the dresser that had fallen onto the floor. So there was paranormal occurrence around the finding of, Dan. And can I prove that? No, that's just what I read and saw. But I was really, I thought that was pretty interesting. I basically think a risky thing to be moving that and taking that around the country. I don't want to put anybody down. Would I have done that? Would I have taken that down on tour? No way. But I'm a very conservative person about these things. I am
Yeah.
not a woohoo person. I'm not.
You're also smart, and I think because you're a lifelong paranormal experiencer and you've had some some pretty scary
Right.
things happen to you, you're smart. I wouldn't do it either, and that's
There are people out there that are looking for an experience, that want to find that evidence, that want, to validate their suspicions. And then there's other people like us that we don't need to prove to ourselves that it's real. So we don't need to open a door that might be really hard to close.
absolutely, absolutely. Um, we did pass by Infinite Joy's question,
Okay.
and she wanted to know what movie or book scared you the most.
Oh boy. When I was younger, I read all of Stephen King's stuff, everything. And the movie that scared me the most was The Shining. Um, Even though The Exorcist was kind of bad, but if you really sort of looked at it, it was also looked. You could look at it and say this is a little bit fake and cheesy looking, but The Shining, I thought that was very scary. Pet Cemetery. I was reading that when I was sick with a cold, and it was like 2 in the morning, and I threw that book. I'm like, that's it. I can't take this anymore. And then about a half an hour later, I went and found it and went back to reading. So a lot of the Stephen King stuff, I would say. What about you?
Well, I was very young, pretty young when Exorcist came out, and I remember this is back in the day when there were like hour and a half, 2 hour lines waiting in
Yes.
line to see the movie wrapped around the theater. My whole family went together as a group to see it. I was probably too young to see it, I'm thinking, and they didn't know any better. It freaked me out. It's I look back on it now and wonder if that had anything to do with me becoming the person I am today and doing what I do today. I don't know, but I know that it really freaked me out. I slept with my parents for probably a month after that movie, and I threw out all my blacklight posters that looked like anything demonic, and I had a Ouija
Sure.
board. And I threw that out, and so that freaked me out. And even to this day, a lot of those feelings come back if I watch that movie. Although the book's a lot scarier, but at the time when Cujo came out, I had a Saint Bernard,
Oh,
and that movie really messed me up
I
because
bet you didn't
I'm,
run out of doggy treats at your house.
well, her name was Edna, and she was an angel, but
Ah, and
I was no, I'm just an animal lover. So I mean, I remember being tearing up and getting really upset when the young boy walked face to face. He was out there looking in the misty fog at night for his dog because the dog went missing, and then he came face to face with it, and it was pretty much already the rabies had set in. And they came face to face, and the little boy was like, "Cujo, it's me." And you could tell Cujo had that last moment of recognizing the young boy that he loved, his
yeah,
owner, and walked away from him, no, almost like if I don't walk away, I'm gonna something bad's gonna happen here. That movie messed me up because of that whole thing. I know the later on seeing some interviews with the young boy that was in the car with Dee Wallace at the end. Many of that was filmed without them even telling the young boy what was about to happen. And if sure there was a guy in a big dog suit, but they also had real dogs, and that boy was genuinely terrified. That little actor was genuinely terrified in a lot of that filming of that, and it showed in his performance. So I watched that movie, and that movie for me is very frightening because it's just that it could really happen.
it could
Uh,
really happen. And I did really also love by Stephen King the movie Christine. I was really
Absolutely,
that
yeah.
movie was just um, kind of mind blowing. It's very scary in its own right. Um, yeah, I also read all the books. I also read The Exorcist. I also read what was really big back in the day was Amityville Horror. I read that. Um, I don't partake in a lot of that anymore. I don't purposely watch a lot of scary stuff. You know, it's not. I don't know. I mean,
Well, it's
even
like
when
even
we had Daniel Groom on, and I was watching that movie, and I heard this stuff moving around, tumbling around the closet.
yeah. Well, even
So
Sharon. I mean, she lives in a haunted house. We live in a haunted house, and the things that she has seen and experienced personally over being married to me for 20 years and us doing it together. Um, she can't watch a scary movie and then go right to bed. She
no,
will have off the chart
I'm the same.
type night terrors that just it's just not good. So we don't even watch them. I will watch if a movie comes out that I'm interested in watching just for entertainment purposes. I will wait until she goes to sleep, and I'll watch it with the volume down. But
I
yeah,
still like some of the really oldies. That's kind of like my favorite thing at Halloween. I like to watch Frankenstein and the Wolfman and Dracula and all that. I mean, they're just so classic and obviously, they're creepy, but they're not traumatic. And I love those creature feature movies.
well, that's funny you bring that up. When you're a little kid, some of that stuff can be traumatic. Like the old Hammer films from England, the Frankenstein movies. Those when I was a little kid, I was that little kid that the parents would scold me and say, "Now just go to bed, and we don't want to find you at 4 o'clock in the morning on the living room floor watching any horror movies," because every time I did and got scared, I was in bed with them. Um, but I was that kid that when I would wait and wait and wait, if I knew something was coming on in the middle of the night that I wanted to see, I'd wait till the folks went to bed, and then I would sneak out there and I would, with the volume down, my face right up against the screen, I would lay on the floor and watch these movies. And of course, they would know every time that I did because I'd end up in bed with them. So it is what it is. But well, listen. On the topic of haunted objects, I'll let you decide. I've got three from my personal. I had to go into
Okay.
my private room,
Can I
and
pick like one, two, or three, and then you surprise me and let me know which one that
I
is?
don't know if I did. Let me. Do I have a one? Okay, yeah, I have a one, two, or three.
Okay, one, two, or three. I'm going to pick number three.
Okay. Can you see the bell,
Yes.
the big bell?
Yes.
Now it actually took Sharon. That's a solid cast iron large bell, antique. Don't know what it's worth. Came
Is
from
it
a
from
haunt.
a ship?
Well, no, it's actually that particular model back in the day was very popular on the front of train engines,
Oh,
and
cool.
also many churches bought that particular model for their steeples. So it's big, it's heavy, it's solid cast iron. I've got the full setup for it to hang it and ring it and all that sort of stuff. But that is what I would consider a haunted object, and I'll give you the quick backstory on it.
Very cool.
Um, a good friend of ours, who's a real estate agent here in town, it landed in his lap to try and sell this haunted mansion here in town. And every time he took people into this mansion, the ghost would act up and scare the potential buyers off. And it got to the point where he was like, I got to do something here. So he called Sharon and I in, and we investigated the place at least I want to say a dozen times easily. Sharon got to the point where she became quite had quite a relationship with the female matriarch of the family who died there. Many deaths there, but the female matriarch of the family that owned the place built a home. She would visit Sharon at night in her dreams, and I could watch Sharon have these conversations with someone while she's asleep, and I would ask her the next day, and she would totally remember who had visited her, what the conversation was. I remember one time she called the real estate guy and said, "I know there's a secret trap door in the library where there's some important papers about her medical documents and papers about the home that you need to see." And he said, "No way. I've combed the blueprints. I've turned that place upside down. There's no hidden compartment in there." Sure enough, the next time we went to investigate, Sharon walked right into the library. Boom, found the secret compartment. The guy's mind was blown away. She
Wow.
found this stuff. We had to be very careful with what we found there, though, because many, many years later, even the male patriarch, the guy who was the huge the richest copper baron in the United States at the time built the home. He also died, and right after he died in the home, the mob took the home over. So there were a lot of weird things. I mean, the house was used as Gatsby style parties. A lot of people went to parties there that were never seen again. It was rumored to be a mob hit home, and they had a brothel in the back of the property. So it was just a bad place. Sharon and I encountered many spirits there. One really, really ugly spirit, which I caught a picture of. It would appear as a. I'll have to send you that picture. Oh, I think it's in book one, but it was a black swirling tornado that would hover underneath the staircase. And if you went up or down the staircase and weren't holding on good to the handrail, you'd probably get shoved down and fall down these stairs. And many people did and got really badly injured. I believe there was one death on that staircase also. So anyway, we used to hear this bell in the home, and we couldn't find where this bell would come from. So one day while we weren't there, the guy was searching through a storage unit in the home and found that bell.
Wow.
He fell in love with it. We all knew that was obviously the ringing. He took it home, cleaned it up, mounted it on his deck in the back right by his pool. And
Wow.
he would annoy his neighbors every once in a while and ring it.
That's
And
always.
it's loud, but he's a very healthy man, very strong man, good swimmer. Never had anything happen in
Uh
his home
oh.
before. Right after he mounts this bell, he goes to swim, and he's in the shallow end of his pool, and some unseen force literally tried to drown him. And
No.
he fought with this force and fought and fought and fought. He's in the shallow end of his pool now. He finally got out of the pool, but he knew immediately what what was behind that, and he called me up and said, I need you to come and get this bell. So I said, fine. So Sharon and I drove to his house. I helped him carry the bell and put it in my trunk. I did an exorcism over the bell, even in my trunk before I drove, because I didn't want to be driving with it unbound in my trunk. But we got it back here in the house, and Sharon and I bound it again, and I've done things to it since it's gotten here. But we still occasionally hear the bell ring here in
Wow.
the home. So that's what I would consider to be a house, a haunted object. I know colleagues, some of my colleagues don't think objects can be haunted, but clearly there's some type of residual or intelligent energy attached to that bell. Um, so there you go. So that's my
That
example of
is a very
what would
cool
be.
story.
But I want to give you a happy ending to that. The bell, as you see, is sitting in. You can't really tell what it's sitting in, but that's a one of two antique rocking chairs that Sharon inherited from her mother after her mother passed away. Now her mother lived till she was about 106, if I remember correctly, and those chairs were in the family before her mother was even born. So that's how old those chairs are. But the energy is like a really beautiful, calming energy when you sit in those rocking chairs. And that's what I love to sit that bell in because it's like, okay, haha, you know, you want to act up? Well, it just can't. I can feel the shift when I put that bell in that chair. The bell's like, "Ugh," it's just kind of like, it just can't misbehave because there's so much love and light and family attached to that chair that's my example of an antique that you can hold on to. Beautiful family heirlooms, especially passed down through the generations in a family. That's the kind of antiques that are safe to own. So
That
th-
is a very cool story. I
so
have
that
I have two haunted object stories. Okay, I could say I have three. So you could pick one, two, or three, and then we'll go back to you. Is that all right?
that's fine. I'll pick two.
Number two,
You got
that
them
is,
with you?
oh no, I'm not like you. I don't carry them around with me for the rest of my life, Shawn, but
Okay.
you do you, right?
Yeah.
Um, this one was a house that we lived in Joplin. And yeah, I lived there when Joplin got hit by a tornado, but the house wasn't damaged. So we had some paranormal activity in the house. Started right away from right after I moved in there. Um, I'll say it briefly. There's a basement door. I think I've said this on the show before. Basement door in the kitchen, right across from the coffee pot. I'm getting coffee. The door handle is jiggling. The door's like somebody is trying to get in, only it isn't locked. And there's no exit to the outside from the basement. And something is banging on the door. And then I like stand my ground and I'm all proud of myself. And I'm like, stop it. We're not interested in you and blah, blah, blah. And I thought, I'll open the door and see what's behind there because I knew there couldn't be a person behind there. But then I chickened out on that. And then it started doing that again. And then I went and sat on the porch until somebody else came home. I didn't want to be alone in there anymore. That, like a lot of the things that you go through, people might think this story or that story sounds the scariest. That was terrifying to me. Absolutely terrifying. And I just couldn't make myself open the door. I mean, if nothing was there, that would be just as scary as if I was looking at something there.
Yeah.
Okay, fast forward in this house, things happen. This is the second most haunted house I lived in. Um, we had like to service the furnace and the AC, go downstairs and then go in a crawl space. And there was a bottle down there that they brought up, and a very old bottle. And it said Frigid Fluid Company, Chicago, Illinois. And I looked that up on the internet, and that was embalming fluid. And there were all kinds of hoses down there, and tubes, and other bottles down there, like a lot. And I said, don't bring it up. Well, what happened was when the bottle came up, that thing in the basement came up with the bottle. And it was like an angry male spirit. And then we had a lot of things going on in the house that was kind of not very Casper friendly at all, including my boyfriend at the time. He was holding two glasses that just burst in his hand, just burst, cut himself real bad. Upstairs at night, it sounded like a man walking up and down the hallway wearing boots, all kinds of things. But so that's a haunted bottle. And I had put it on the window ledge in the kitchen. And then after all of the activity spiked, I wouldn't touch it anymore. And it fell over on its side and ended up between the window and the screen. And I left it there. And then somebody wanted to buy it from me to have as a raffle gift at a paranormal conference. And I thought about that and thought that was a really bad idea. I didn't want any responsibility involved in that. But I will say, if they had talked me into it, they would have gotten that bottle. I would have had two oven mitts on, and I would have had tongs, and I would have walked to the door and just, here you go. And you could have the tongs and you could have the oven mitts too. And that would have been the end of the bottle. But mm-mm. So that's that story. Anyway, come to overtime, I think that whole place was a funeral home.
Oh yeah,
The
obviously.
more I think about it, and the upstairs was like its own apartment with its own kitchen, and there was a big garage with a mudroom where you could walk from whatever from the garage into the house. You could have, shades or curtains and people wouldn't see. Like, duh. I still, because I knew that like back in the day, especially in smaller towns, they would have wakes and viewings in private homes sometimes if they didn't have, you know, um,
Funeral home.
proper, yeah.
Yeah.
But with the amount of stuff that they said was down there, I think that it was actually a funeral parlor, and it was on the corner, kind of big, right by a main intersection, which kind of
Yep.
makes sense as well.
Yep.
Okay, number one for you.
Oh, you want number one? Okay.
Number one.
Alrighty, this is an example of a cursed object. Everybody wants to know how does an object get cursed? Well, a lot of people reach out to me and go, "I finally found you on Facebook. You didn't tell me you were go by the name Lawrence Morais." Well, the reason why I go by the name Lawrence Morais now, Father Shawn is in parentheses right by it, so you know it's me. But many, many, many years ago, I was going to do a show on the Lifetime channel. Back then, it was called Lifetime for Women, and it was a show called American Exorcist, and it was about this group of exorcists led by this female exorcist, who the show was going to be about. And at that time, it was very dangerous for exorcists because they were being targeted by cults and dangerous movements,
Oh,
and so the network wanted us to all have stage names. So these are all actually legal second identities. Um, and I've got a certificate for this for Lawrence Morais. Lawrence is my father's first name, and Morais is my mother's maiden name. So there's like a um, personal feeling behind
yeah,
that. But and what happened was the reason why the show never went off was one night they're doing a sizzle reel. I wasn't there, but they're doing a sizzle reel somewhere, and a producer who was a skeptic was doing a little religious provocation at the site, and his pant leg spontaneously combusted in flame.
whoa,
He freaked out, and then right after that, one of our lead deacons who had a great future ahead of him in clergy, and he was also a very talented musician. He goes home after filming one night and he just commits suicide.
Whoa.
Then the person who the show was going to be about, she gets deathly ill to the point where she has to be carried around. She's so ill. She goes to the hospital and gets diagnosed with lupus, which comes out of nowhere. So the network finally panicked. I don't blame them, and they canceled the show. They didn't want. They thought this is we're in way over our heads, and we just wanted we were going to be they were going to follow us around as we went from one case to another of alleged demonic infestation and possession, and watch us do what we do. But I get this letter in the mail. I'm going to cover up the name, but I get this letter in the mail, and it's sealed with a
Oh,
weird wax thing. And I don't know the person who sent this to me. And I've been blessed that I have these, I refer to them as my spidey senses. And my spidey senses are going off that there's something wrong with this letter. So I just lay hands on it and I say some of the most powerful prayers of protection and prayers of deliverance that I can say over this thing. And I don't do nothing with the letter, but I do that every day on this letter for about a week. Now, I don't know if my guardian angels went and talked to this person, but I get this weird message from this person, and I don't even know if it's a real person, like if the name on this letter is this person. I've tried to find the person, I can't. But this person introduces themselves. I was the one that sent you that letter. Whatever you do, do not open the letter.
wow.
They go, it's a curse. And if you open the letter, that starts the curse, and you will regret ever having opened that letter. I feel bad that I did that, and I'm warning you, don't open the letter. You need to throw it away. Okay, now here's my, you know, I start thinking, well, now I can't trust this person at all.
Right.
So how do I know that throwing it away might activate the curse? So what I've done was I've decided to do nothing with the letter but continue to pray over it practically on a daily basis. And it sits here on my desk because I remember I worked a case once where an old woman from I'm thinking, like Ukraine maybe or Bosnia, someplace like that. She had she claimed she had demons in her luggage and she wanted me to just throw her luggage away. She said, "Don't open that luggage. A lot of my personal items are in there, but I don't want them back. If you open that luggage or you just
Wasn't
throw it
that
away,
story in your first book?
probably I'll have to take a look again." But she said, if you just throw it away and someone else opens it up, it's going to release that and it's going to come back after you. So, and I remembered that also when this guy was telling me I need to throw this letter away. So I didn't. So that would be what I would consider a cursed object. And it could be
Wow.
something as simple as a letter. So you got to be careful.
Wow. Yeah, real quickly, and I'm sure that we'll write about it a little in our book, but what to do if you have a cursed object, because what you just said and then what I just said before you was like, what am I going to do with this bottle? Would I even want somebody to buy it? For sure, I wanted to get rid of it. For sure, I did. But like this feeling that you're stuck with this thing and what would be the right thing to do, and what you just said, just because I throw it away doesn't mean that I'm deactivating it or rid of it. What do I do? And some people say you could burn something, things that are burnable, of which a bottle is not, but and other people say don't do that. So that's a really interesting thing. So I guess probably tie a blessed metal to it and bury it somewhere? Would that
Or
make it stop, or who knows?
well, you got to be careful. You got to maybe make sure you bury it deep and make sure it's in a place where you don't expect somebody to dig it up. Like even if it's a tractor that's going to level the ground to build a home there, you got to go out into the wilderness to bury these things. But make sure you bury it in a hole filled with like blessed salts and pour some holy water in there and some blessed metals. Some people will try to appease the attachment, which some of my colleagues don't think is wise. I've done it, so I'm on the fence. But you can, put candy and tobacco and money in the hole. But you don't want to just stick it in the hole. You want to bind it. You want to put it in some type of container with these items and then bury it. But you want to bury it deep and you want it to be out in an area where you're almost positive the chances of it getting dug up are slim to none.
Well, the original house in St. Louis that they made The Exorcist from, and it was actually a little boy. That stuff, and also the Dybbuk box. I don't know how many Dybbuk box stories there are, but the reason I bring that up is all the furniture from that exorcism, not from the house, but from when he was with the priests and everything. In the Dybbuk box, their solution was that those things are in storage units all by themselves, and they just pay the money every month.
Yep, absolutely.
They're just in storage for forever.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely.
Let's do your story number two, and we'll hold mine back.
Number two, this is the first time this has seen the light of day in a long, long
Oh,
time. Ugh, that's heavy too. It's a big old chunk of slate.
oh wow, that's a really, really old slate Ouija board.
Yeah, it's a big old piece of slate with all Celtic designed artwork carved into it. And this is the first time these two items have been this close to each other. That's the planchette.
Wow, it looks like a CD.
And what happens is there's a piece of glass that's fitted that goes over the when you lay the board down, you put the glass over the board, and this is very smooth here. The planchette just sits on the glass and slides around, and you see the letters through the hole in the middle. And this is the first time they've been in the same room in a long time because this Ouija board will play by itself. And this was the Ouija board that Sharon and I were using that very first night, way back in the day, at that location where the woman was being raped by an unseen force at night, and her husband would even witness it, and then he would try and intervene, and then he would get raped. They went and saw doctors and everything. She had like um, vaginal tearing, like from a rape, and he had like uh, anal fissures from like TMI. I know, but they weren't doing it to each other. And Sharon and I used that board to try and contact whatever was there. We didn't know any better, and they didn't. We brought obviously the board back home, and that very night we came home, things started here, and we knew it was the something was attached to the board because we would put it away in the box, and then maybe a couple of days later find it out of the box. Um, we would hear it making noises in the box. And this was before we put it away. It was like set up to just look at because it's very decorative. It's beautiful. And we would see it play. So we just decided that probably best put the glass in one location, the planchette in another location, the board in another location. And I continue to handle them and pray over them all the time. But that was the beginning of 2 months of whatever was at that home came here and lived in our house for about I want to say 8 weeks, and turned our lives upside down. And it was very ugly. Sharon was the target of those attacks.
Well,
And
where did you
that
get that board?
we purchased it at probably the last place you want to purchase it. It was at a we were at a an old paranormal conference, if you will, out in the middle of nowhere at a haunted location, and they were auctioning off alleged haunted items.
See, you could have got my bottle. That's the same kind of deal, right?
Yeah.
I left that house and that bottle. This sounds terrible. I'm irresponsible. I'm bad. That bottle was still between the window and the screen and the above and behind the sink. If you lifted up the window, that bottle was still there. I never touched it again. It fell over somehow and it was down in there, and that was good enough for me. And I especially liked it when I could close the window. Technically, it was not really in the house anymore, but yeah. See, you could have got my bottle in a place like that if I would have said yes.
Yep. Yep. We could have. And I think since uh, a lot of people say there's no experts. Nobody has all the answers.
Right.
If you meet anybody that says they do, you don't want to listen to them. So you don't know what type of rules you may be breaking. I believe that the fact that you took possession of that home and lived there, now all of that stuff belonged to you. Now you may sell that bottle to somebody, but I still think there's going to be some type of connection. They may wreak havoc on the immediate whoever's in the immediate bubble of that object, but I do believe some residual of that is going to still come back and mess with you, um, because it was technically and it belonged to you at one time. So you have to be careful, not only looking out for other people, but in the spirit world you don't just get rid of stuff um, that easy that have
Well,
that type
I
of.
I technically was not the owner of that home, so it wasn't really my bottle. Just kind of, sort of my bottle, and
So
it
you're
was,
you're still calling it your bottle. You handled it, didn't you?
yes, may or may not be actually inside the house at any given time. Actually, might not even have been mine to give away. It was just that was creepy.
You know what we will do, and I'll let you decide if there's anything else you want to bring up. I mean, if I reach into the mailbag now, it's going to be frustrating because there's a lot of people that send stuff in over a period of time. But because of the topics that we talked about, I think I'm going to end with reaching into the prayer urn and finish the show with a prayer.
Okay.
And we're almost out of time, so I'll make it quick. And this too it's just an old urn that Sharon and I bid on at a haunted conference and had energy too. But I put prayers in there so it calms down. This is from Julie D in Wisconsin. Hi, Julie.
Hi, Julie.
I'm Catholic, but I feel I have lost a little bit of my faith, looking to get it back. Any advice? Got a prayer for that? I need one. I will say a prayer for you, Julie. It's from my favorite St. Benedict prayer book. And let's get that going. My advice would be find EWTN on your TV, and every morning I would watch live Catholic Mass and occasionally
Yeah.
flip on that channel and find something good to watch. Start re gearing your mind to spirituality. This is a prayer called Searching for God. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. O Lord my God, teach my heart this day where and how to see you, where and how to find you. You have made me and remade me, and you have bestowed on me all the good things I possess, and still I do not know you. I have not yet done that for which I was made. Teach me to seek you, for I cannot seek you unless you teach me, or find you unless you show yourself to me. Let me seek you in my desire. Let me desire you in my seeking. Let me find you by loving you. Let me love you when I find you. Amen.
Amen. And
That's out to you, Julie.
I would like to tell Julie that I get a lot of inspiration reading the stories of the saints.
Um, are you ready to know? You're going to be happy when you hear about who our next guest is going to be.
Is it Rick Garner?
It's funny. I just recently rebooked Rick again, but no, it's not. It's your favorite squatcher.
Oh, Carl is coming back.
Carl
He
will
is
be here next Friday, the 15th.
last time he was here, I'll get everybody excited about this. Last time that he was here, I asked him, how many times do you think that you've actually encountered or seen Bigfoot? And the answer he gave me was 13 times.
He's one of the most knowledgeable Bigfoot authorities I've ever met, and he's had some amazing encounters, been gifted some amazing things by this one Sasquatch family. So we'll talk to him about all of that stuff next week. I'm going to kick you out of here so I can say goodbye to everybody. I love you. Thank you for being here with me today, and have a wonderful, wonderful remainder of your Friday evening and a great weekend. And I'll see you next week.
Love you. Thank you for a wonderful show. Really enjoyed it. Thank you to our listeners and wishing everybody a great night and a great weekend. And we'll see you next Friday.
See you later. Annette Munich, Stellium Books. If you want to write a book, call her. She'll help you with that. Okay? What else do I want to tell you guys? Got God? Well, if you want to join a church that accepts everybody, and I mean that, everybody, take a look at the United States Old Catholic Church. You might be pleasantly surprised. And if you're already good with God, but you feel a calling to have a closer relationship with Him, reach out to the abbot of the Old Catholic Benedictines of Immaculate Mary. That would be me. And you and I will talk about this calling of yours. Perhaps the Benedictines are in your future. Remember, brothers and sisters, we may have done what the devil said we did, but we are not who the devil says we are. Thank you to United Public Radio Network for carrying my show, Joe Montaldo, Michelle De Roche, and to all of you for tuning in, because I don't have a show without you guys. Have a blessed weekend, everybody. Good night, Danny. Good night, Jack. Good night, Dog. Good night, Harold. Rest in peace. Good night, Ernie. Good night, Bill. Good night, Dan. Stay tuned for Spirit Switchboard with Carrie Lynn Shellhorn. I love you all. God bless you all in the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Peace.